February is a pretty jam-packed month, astrology speaking. The cosmos really came to serve, so we're going to dive right in. We start this month with a full moon in Leo. So the 1st and 2nd of Feb, depending on where you are in the world, Leo full moon. And this one's kind of here to humble us. I'm not going to lie. It's outweighed by Aquarius energy. So when the moon is full, it's essentially opposing the sun. The moon's in one side, the sun is in the other. They form this opposition. Oppositions are here for us to try and find this middle ground, the halfway point between balancing the elements and the energies of both signs, right? So that Leo energy that's very self-serving, that Aquarius energy that's very humanitarian focused. However, the energy of Aquarius is far outweighing the energy of the Leo with this one because energy of Leo with this one, because we have not only the sun, but we have Mercury, we have Mars, we have Venus, and we also have Pluto all in Aquarius. Very condensed, concentrated energy with some pretty major players here. So this is really about kind of the collapse of performative culture as we know it to be. And I think we've been starting to see that shift, the way that influencers and social media has kind of been dismantled. It's starting to really collapse down and people are done with the performance. I think we're craving so much more authenticity and community again, in real life, face-to-face community. And this full moon's kind of like this culmination point where it's like all comes to a head, where we're done. We're done. I don't know about you, but like I personally have just been tired and just really resenting my phone, social media. I'm well aware I'm using my phone right now to record, but you know what I mean? It's like my phone is living on DND for as much of the time as I can possibly allow it to be. It's just the exhaustion. Like there's been so much focus around like nervous system regulation and people, like the trend in seeing like analog activities coming back, like the resurgence of this analog way of living that I was thankful enough to experience growing up in the 90s. We're going to see influencers take a back seat while we see artists really step forward. I think there's such a craving for this. There's a real focus on humanitarian pursuits right now, especially as we have Neptune that's officially entered the sign of Aries. The last time Neptune was in Aries is when we saw things like the Civil War. We saw a big rise in like philosophies and spirituality. Like it marks so many monumental global kind of revolutions and upheaval. People really fighting for their rights. And so I think I can't say exactly what is going to come about now that Neptune has re-entered Aries. The cosmos are somewhat different. Like it's not cut copy of what we've seen before the last time Neptune was in Aries, but it's going to have this similar kind of flavor and undertone to it. History does have a way of repeating itself. I think that's something to be mindful of, that things are cyclical. So the Aquarius energy is heavy with this Leo full moon. It's a culmination point, as I said, where we are really putting away our desire for being seen and allowing our desire to be truly known take that front seat now, take the driver's seat. And with that comes a level of vulnerability. Like being your authentic self is, yes, the most magnetic frequency you can operate out of, but also requires this level of vulnerability because you're exposed in a way you're not used to, a way that you aren't able to sit behind the filters and the edits, right? The Aquarius energy is going to be further amplified later in the month when we have the solar eclipse that's happening in Aquarius. So North Node will be moving into Aquarius come July, like the end of July, and that means the South Node is going to be in Leo. So again, your South Node is kind of like the tail of the serpent. It's like that past life. It's the stuff we're letting go of. So those shadow traits of Leo, of being conceited and ego driven, we're letting go of that performative nature and culture. And we're seeing the head of the serpent, the North Node, where we're headed in Aquarius. So it really is like that age of Aquarius that has been talked about for some time now. So the solar eclipse is marking this. It's kind of like giving us this preview of what's to come when we see the nodes shift signs, because this is an out of sign eclipse. So typically we have eclipses where the moon is there in conjunction with the lunar nodes. However, the lunar nodes have not yet shifted signs. That's why it's making this an out of sign eclipse. This also marks the Lunar New Year, which is when we officially enter the year of the horse. We have been in the year of the snake with the Chinese zodiac. We're officially entering the year of the horse. So we have Neptune in Aries. Aries very action orientated. It wants to fight. It wants the revolution. Neptune is in that sign now, marking quite a monumental turn of events that we're going to see play out. We then have this Leo full moon allowing us to kind of put away this ego self-centered, self-seeking type energy and moving more towards this humanitarian way of being in community-based living. We then have the solar eclipse marking the year of the horse, where again, we're going to start seeing forward momentum and really taking action. This year is going to be, I think, very focused on that, like the things that are going to best serve humanity. Our attention's really going to go there, I believe, collectively. It's already starting to shift. Then mid-month, we have Saturn re-entering Aries. So we've had this ongoing conjunction with Saturn and Neptune that's been happening across the last year. And so now with Neptune entering Aries, Saturn is then going to transit and follow along behind. So while in Pisces, Saturn is that planet that is about structure and boundaries and discipline and karma. So while it was in Pisces, it was kind of like trying to add form to the formless, because Pisces is so fluid and intuitive and spiritual. So it enters Aries, and this is now about taking aligned action, bold action, courageous action. So Aries is a sign that's known for its aggression, so that is something to be mindful of. But it's about allowing the energy to fuel our next steps without it causing conflicts and argument. So Saturn is that planet of karma and lessons in this life. So there may be some lessons that come up around the way that you do assert yourself, and being mindful not to go gung-ho with the aggression, but kind of, tapering that down and allowing your passion to be ignited and that fieriness to really come through without it turning into, arguments and disagreements. Conflicts is the word I was looking for. So the solar eclipse is going to land around the 17th of Feb. And at 11:01 p.m. here in New South Wales, so I love that it's like the 111. I've got my bunny here now, so she's going to distract me. And it's at that 28 degree, which is interesting because the last new moon we had in Capricorn also at that 28 degree, and it's almost that final degree. This is basically symbolic of intense or urgent need for change. Again, I think it's very on brand with the whole theme of how this year has begun and where this year could be going. It's going to mark the Lunar New Year and ushers us into officially the year of the horse. She wants to say hello. No one can see her, so it looks like I'm talking to myself. This will give us a bit of a taste test of what's to come when the nodes officially change signs later in July, as I said before. So we've had this ongoing Saturn-Neptune conjunction, so across the last year, and it's coming to a head where they're going to come into this exact position around the 2021 mark in February. And this is at that 0 degrees. This is collective reset. This is the beginning of something so new. When Saturn and Neptune are together, it is associated with collectivism, but also communism and socialism. And these things are going to come up in a really big way throughout 2026. So it may not always be nice or an easy way, because Saturn is actually in its fall in the sign of Aries. On a personal level, this can feel like ways that you may have tried to start or initiate things and hit roadblocks, or you felt like your creativity and your structure around things has just kind of dissipated and fallen away. There might have been confusions around where your boundaries lie around certain areas. So it's going to be really dependent on what house is ruled by Aries in your own chart. That's going to give you more data around where you're going to see these themes concentrated. The houses in your chart are going to dictate areas of your life. If you are confused by any of that, by all means, personal chart readings will be your best bet, because it allows you to kind of see the way these transits can be personally applied to your own chart and how you can work with these currents and this kind of energy, the flow of energy. So you're not forcing your way through 2026, but you're just kind of flowing with it and kind of, being guided by your own energetic blueprint. I'll pop the links below in the video. You can reach out to me on socials, etc., etc., etc. So this transit really marks this beginning of something brand new. So nothing's really going to look the same after this energy passes. And I feel like February is this really kind of big checkpoint for 2026. We're seeing a lot of this, like the lines are being blurred between kind of what's real and what's not. And I think we've had that query going on for some time with media, because it's kind of like nothing's fact checked anymore. That we are exposed to so much to consume across our phones in this media landscape. And it's almost like we just take it at face value, and it's like, oh, well, if it's on the internet, therefore it's got to be like valid. But what we've come to know now is like anyone can post anything on the internet, and that doesn't necessarily make it right or true. And now it's becoming even more difficult to navigate with the rise of AI, right? Because now it's like, I saw a video of bunnies jumping on a trampoline, and I thought for sure that's real. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. I found out that was AI, and that really that really made me stop and think around, like, I thought I was pretty savvy at determining what was an AI generated video or image, and it turns out no, I am sucked in just like the rest of us, you know? And so we're navigating like such new terrain already. And it's just going to go deeper than just like seeing clickbait and like rage baity kind of headlines. Because now it's kind of like with AI and how realistic it's getting really hard to kind of discern between what's real and what's not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The silver lining is with this rubble, I guess that's forming, this is where we are able to rebuild. And when we do rebuild, it's going to be on a much firmer foundation. So take that as you wish, you know. Then to wrap up February, we do have Mercury retrograde, and I have talked about this before. I personally believe retrogrades to be a positive thing. I know they have a bad rap, particularly Mercury retrograde. It happens so frequently. It feels like whenever things are going wrong, it's like, well, obviously Mercury is retrograde. And look, yeah, it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating. I think because of the way we now live our lives, constantly rushing from one thing to the next, also being so glued to our phones, like most of us, I'm not going to say all of us, I'm not going to generalize, but for most of us, we are addicted to our phones, and they were designed in that way. It was designed to play into our vulnerabilities as human beings and the way that we want to keep reaching for it and grabbing it, because like obviously they want to make a profit of us. They want to keep using these devices and keep needing them and relying on them. And so they are made in a way, apps are made in a way, the notifications are all made in a way to trigger that dopamine, that reward system. It's kind of like with the pokey machines, like slot machines, to keep us going back. And because we might only grab it for like a minute or two here and there, so it's seemingly insignificant at the moment. You're like, I'm just going to quickly check something. I'm just going to quickly check something. I'm just going to quickly look that up. I'm just going to quickly like have a look at this. I'm just going to have a quick scroll. I'm just going to quickly watch this video. Before we know it, it's 10 plus hours on our screens, and we're like, where is the time gone? Anyway, that's not even the point of this. The point of this is a Mercury retrograde. I believe retrogrades to be a positive thing. Why? Well, it slows us down for one, which I think is really beneficial. I think we should be living life at a slower pace. And as I say that, I'm aware of how increasingly quick my words are coming out. Please don't be mad. I'm a Gemini. However, the retrogrades slow us down, and it allows us an opportunity for a redo at something. We get a second chance, and we don't often get second chances in life. So take that. If something has come back around, if you did not want it to come back around, I get that you're kind of like, why is this happening again? However, it's not like a woe is me, why is this happening again? It's like a wow, opportunity for change, opportunity for growth, opportunity to come at this issue, this problem, this conflict with now a greater sense of clarity, because we kind of half navigated it before. Maybe we didn't find a full resolve. Now we get to have another shot at it from a higher place, a more grounded place, from a new perspective, and be like, okay, maybe missed out on some key bits of information the first time around. I'm going to gather that data this time and allow that to help navigate my next steps moving on from here, that we can find resolve and closure, right? These are good things. So I stand by that. Mercury retrograde is actually a positive thing. It's beautiful to slow down. I think we should be doing that more often, and I don't think we are. And so the cosmos is like, well, this Mercury retrograde will be occurring in the sign of Pisces. So that's a really cool layer to this. So it's like, for one, the pre-shadow phase is going to begin around that 13th mark of February. So be mindful of what themes are arising from the 13th onwards to the 27th, when the Mercury officially stations retrograde, because there are things in that shadow phase is kind of what's starting to come up now. Maybe things that are going to get a revisit or having us reflect upon when the retrograde does begin. Mercury is a lot about communication and our thoughts and how we perceive. And in Pisces, this can bring up a lot of thoughts and more emotions, because Pisces is that water sign. It is very intuitive, kind of like the shapeshifter. It's very spiritual. So it may bring up a lot of spiritual truths and beliefs, and our intuition may feel either clouded or sharpened at this time, just pending where and what house is ruled by Pisces. in your own chart. So the way this hits your own chart will kind of add a different layer to this. Essentially, it may feel more emotional, the reflections that we're getting, more intuitive. Maybe we have a lot coming through in our dreams. But I think key things to do during any retrograde, and I think just in life, is trying to quieten down that external noise. So if you can reduce that overload of information and what you are consuming, maybe shift the inputs that you're having right now, because the inputs are going to determine the outputs, right? And so if those inputs are coming in from like a lot of just mass media consumption, a lot of social media, a lot of doom scrolling, a lot of TV, a lot of just like aggressive music, a lot of negative conversations and gossip, like those things maybe might not be making you feel that great internally, then that's going to actually alter the way you are putting your energy outward into the world. Maybe you're starting to feel a bit more like you're comparing yourself to other people online, or hearing that sort of gossips and then altering the way you look at certain people in your world, because you're looking at them through a new lens because you've heard something that was a little bit, I don't know, weird, that you didn't quite like. You know what I mean? Like it can kind of really shift your experience of life. February is a month of taking stock, of tuning down, quietening down, and tuning in towards yourself, slowing down for that period because of that Mercury retrograde, celebrating the Lunar New Year, the year of the horse, a lot of the action, connecting more with the community, giving back more to community, touching base with friends in real life if you can, like starting to connect more on that deeper, more personal level. The more time you spend kind of in that quiet place and listening to yourself is going to allow you to actually get to know yourself, which is going to allow you to then be more of your authentic self, which that Aquarius energy is fully supporting right now. I'm really excited for this month. I'm interested to see how the rest of 2026 plays out. Personal chart readings are available if you do want to connect with me. All the links are down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and I love you lots. Bye.